Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you Tyranids tournament placings, or two, or three, to review. For me, this was last week, but when this comes out to the general public, this should be 2 weekends ago? Yes, let's go with that. Yeah, 2 weekends ago. Sorry that this is a bit late. Thank you to Mike for the recon. Apparently, I was a goofy goober and didn't refresh the page at the time that I thought I did to actually check. We're a bit late on this one. And I'm sorry again because I know I said, hey, like, we're going to open it up and be a surprise together. I flubbed this recording a couple of times now because for some odd reason, it's right after I finished talking about Craig's List. So let's start talking about Craig's List. Craig, who, if you have found me, thank you for being here, you know who this is. The video about what's going on here is already out. So I'm not going to yap too much about my take on it because, full disclosure, I had to check literally in one of the first takes of this video to see if the video was out. I haven't watched the video yet because I checked that while recording. I'll see that after this, after I'm done recording, and then we can all figure out how the fuck we got here together at about roughly similar times. So, Craig, being one of the first pioneers, if not the first pioneer of assimilation swarm, intended, well, assimilation swarm, uh, brought Nornhub V2. And man, Craig is full of surprises. So, Winged Hive Tyrant. Oh, and I don't think I said it in this take. The reason that I'm not saying the channel name is because everybody feels different about that. If they only want their channel name to be said, usually that's how they enter the information on tournaments. And sometimes they don't want to do that, so they don't. But I guarantee you can find who has brought, spoiler alert, 5 Norns uh, around the time that this video is going up. So Craig, being one of the originals of Assimilation Swarm, was known to pilot several tyrants and tyrant guard, but now has gone into the Sam Pope route of a winged hive tyrant, being the tyrant of choice, had only one. Surprise, surprise, and it has biophagic flow. That's good. I mean, I still, out of all the tyrants, prefer the hive tyrant uh, in the list, but I can understand why this happened. So, Craig also has a Biovore Lictor, Maliceptor, then 5 fucking Norns, 2 Norn assimilators, 3 emissaries. Now, we'll all have to figure out by watching the video if the Norn assimilators also took stand on an objective, like Norn emissaries usually do for a singular purpose. I would imagine that's the case. Uh, but then I do see a Psychophage, a unit of 2 Pyrovores, and shout out a Ripper, right? So there is the chance that one of these things chose to pick a target and point them out, knock them out. Because the Psychophage, hey, it is a harvester, but can boost some AP for melee, so who really knows? Well, we can all know in a little bit. Um, but the one thing that I did think was like even more interesting is that we opted for the Psychophage and Biophagic Flow at 1995 instead of our horror specs. But if I remember correctly, I think Craig isn't too fond of the horror spec, so maybe that's it. I don't know. Again, the video's out. We'll be watching that to figure out the reasonings behind it. But as a certified Norn apologist, boy, does this make me happy to see. I've wondered when we were going to see 6 Norns, but damn, I'll take 5 too. Their price could be lower, and with Assimilation Swarm being the detachment that makes Norn Assimilators their tankiest. Not that they are that tanky, but if you want a Norn Assimilator to survive, you should probably be going into Assimilation Swarm. Uh, with a lot of T11 spam, the Psychophage Has movement, so maybe that's the cutting edge. But instead of going into yet another T11 with the horror specs, Craig has played around with Pyrovore unit ratios for a bit. I also can get behind a unit of two. Usually easier to move around, and if one goes down, you bring the other one back up, back and forth, yada yada yada. And I would like to see more Rippers. We know I would like to see more Rippers, but I can at least appreciate one made the cut. So, congrats to Craig for the placement and bringing out Norn Hub V2. Then we go to Joakim. I'm sorry, we've seen this name before. Each time I fact check to see if I'm getting it down, and we're just faith, trust, and pixie dust that I've gotten it right at least one of these times. Um, Invasion Fleet. So this one I didn't spoil for myself that badly because I had already flubbed the other takes, finishing Craigslist. Whoopee. Then we go to Mal. I can't tell if my oh goodness that aging vision is coming into play because I can't see if that's a straight line across or two dots. We're going with two dots. And also, we're not going to try that pronunciation and embarrass myself further today. But we're an invasion fleet where we have a brood lord and a hive tyrant with adaptive biology, a unit of 10 gargoyles, biovore, triple exocrine, full unit of gene stealers for the brood lord, 2 lictors, 2 maliceptors, squad of neuragons, looking like strictly backline holding, backfield holding, a single Norn emissary, a pyrovore, and an acid spray Tyrannifex in invasion fleet. Okay, now that one, that's something, huh? Oddly enough, I was looking at the ratios of Tyrannifexes that from the other list lately, where we are still on 2 rupture effects, 1 acid spray. But to see that it's not rupture cannon and instead just acid spray with Catans in the mix is interesting. That is certainly interesting. Hmm. Single Pyrovore, points filler, not too much to read into that. Triple Exocrine, double Maliceptors, 1 Norn Emissary, so 3-2-1. Alright. That's pretty neat. That sounded condescending as hell. I'm so sorry. I meant that genuinely. That's pretty neat. 1 Pyrovore, the acid spray. The acid spray kind of confuses me. I'll be honest. Because you have triple exocrine. What are we using that for? What is the thing? What army are we concerned about enough that we're going for the acid spray here while having no rupture cannons? Hmm. Everything's blast. I mean, it does give you at least one monster that can still use big guns never tire. It is T12. So I guess you can also put it up in the middle of the board with the Norn Emissary. Maybe it's just to Overwatch to protect the Norn Emissary? To keep that going a little bit more? That's my best guess. Just more forward pressure with something that's T12. It's 60 points less than a Norn Emissary. Has no invuln though. But it's Invasion Fleet, so at least you could get a Feel No Pain on it. 2,000 points on the dot. So the only way to make a second Norn Emissary would have been to drop a Lictor. I guess it's just more midboard pressure. Just a Maliceptor is Scorch 1 Norn Emissary and a Maliceptor is Scorch 1 Tyrannifex. Tyrannifex has Acid Spray, that way less things can tangle up the Maliceptor that only has Blast. Gotta get 4 decent Monsties in the midboard. gene stealers and gargoyles to help the initial screening phases. Okay, I like it, but it definitely caught me off guard. I tell you that much. It definitely caught me off guard. But you know what? We take that. And then we have Rowan with subterranean assault. We are allowing one big scary unit to be included in your army. All right, we got Swarmy, five hyper adaptive Raveners. I don't know why it formatted that way in my face to throw me off. Well, that threw me off, not that it went out the way. Five hyper adaptive Raveners, 10 Gargoyles, Biovore, one Lictor, one Neurolictor, one Pyrophore. We're back to the one Hyper, two Raveners ratio. A Harridan, two Screamer Killers, and a Rupture Fax. Okay, so funny enough, I had Scrap making a video about this. Um, yes, surprise, surprise. I know I say some out there shit that people aren't ready about what you could do with some Tyranid models and the crazy kooky thing. But while all of us were looking at taking a Hierophant Biotitan through the fucking tunnels, um, I did end up scrapping a video recently too about what if you did a Harridan instead. So let me tell you, the hive mind might be hive minding. Might that I heard Rowan's brain synapse connect to me, and something told me, hey, Harridan separated us out, and it looks like that was calling the Rowan too. So let's actually we're gonna do something that we usually don't do for these. We're going to pull up Waha, and we're actually going to talk a little bit more about that because, well, bonus video value, I guess. First up, let's go to Subterranean Assault, and let's talk data sheets here. Because, so the reason that I surmise uh, Harridan is because you get reroll once, reroll hit rolls of one. And if you all remember when we took the Harridan in Vanguard Onslaught, you like getting it on the table quickly. Now, if the Harridan does not have to worry about uh, being an aircraft and you just make it a monster, you get to the situation of fuck, how do I move this thing around? Which Subterranean Assault solves. You can also, but what I see we didn't do here is tremor senses, where you could kind of redeploy and game the system a bit more that way. But I see we didn't do that here. Interesting. The other thing with the Harridan is that it has Harridan a situation where with frenzied metabolism, each time this model is selected to shoot, you can use this ability. If you do until the end of the phase, each time this model makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. After resolving those attacks, roll 1d6 on a 2-up, you suffer d3 mortal wounds. So, you have 2 dire cannons that are firing blast 48 inches, d6 plus 6, hidden on 3s, strength 10, AP 3, damage 3, plus 1 to wound. Over here in Subterranean Assault, you also have access to replenishing swarms, your movement phase, one Tyranid unit, wholly within 9 inches of one of your tunnel markers. You can get D3 plus 1 lost wounds. So, you can just shrug off the damage that you did to yourself. And when you're hitting on 3s, re-rolling hit rolls of 1, plus 1 to wound, that sounds pretty damn good. And by not making an aircraft, I should have said for the newer players, you can make the Harridan just go into hover, and it's just a flying, hovering monster that has that situation. But coming back to for everybody, subterranean assault, when you get to just move it around through tunnels, such as with Tunnel Network, you can blast shit out the fucking wazoo. Now, coming back to the list for a second, we have double Screamer Killer. And at first I misremembered for a second. I was like, wait, to turn on the plus 1 to wound, for, but no, it's +1 to hit for the Hierophant Biotitan. So the Screamer Killers, I can only imagine, are just for melee pressure in addition to the Raveners, as well as, a little bit of shooting, take some wounds off. Rupture Cannon Tyrant effects, we've seen that. But Harridan, coming out of tunnels, +1 to wound, re-rolling hit rolls of 1, and then you can just heal back the wounds that you're taking for yourself. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It has T10, which isn't great, especially for a fucking Titanic model, right? But it does have 30 wounds to kind of help in some aspect there. So honestly, I vibe hard as hell with it. I think this is pretty neat. That you can get them out the hose. Like you can move the Harridan around, and you could just put down damage. I guess it should also be said, if it is, just while we're pointing out obvious things here with the reroll hit rolls of 1, you can give it sustained ignore cover with Enfilade and Emergence. End of your movement phase, 1 Tyranid unit from your army that was set up as reinforcements until the end of your next fight phase. Weapons equipped by models in your unit have sustained hits 1 and ignores cover. So, sustained hits 1, ignore cover on 2d6 plus 12 math, right? 2d6 plus 6, let's make it simple. Uh, Cannons hitting on 3, strength 10, AP 3, damage 3, blast. Sustained ignores cover, reroll hit rolls of 1, +1 to wound. You're doing damage, right? You're doing damage. Now, the other thing is that can also carry over. So with the Gargantuan Scything Talons, 6 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 14, 15 in synapse like it matters. AP2, damage D6. The damage leaves something to be desired because it's D6, which means sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 6. A lot of times you're going to feel like it's only 1, 2, or 3. You have something that can still do melee combat too, and given that sustained, it's like not the worst. I wouldn't go out of my way to charge a Harridan, but if it ends up in combat, you won't be that miffed about it. So, a fucking Harridan and 5 Norns is the shit we're doing lately. Oh man, good golly gee. What is there even to say about this shit? It looks like we had a wacky weekend, and I do likes the jank, the wacky. Maybe that's the way moving forward. If you tell me that 5 Norn Assimilation Swarm is the way to go, I'm down. I am fucking down. And if you tell me that Harridan Subterranean Assault is the way to go, I am fucking down. It's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one, all right. But yeah, uh, I like it. I guess that's all I can say. And hopefully, I don't know how. I don't think that the Subterranean list will catch on because that's a lot of money for a Harridan. So you either it's one of those things that if you had it, you had it. If you don't, I don't know if you do. But the Nords might catch on. We've seen 3. We've gone from 1 to 3 in several lists. Can we keep it as 5? I'd like to see it. I'm okay with that. If you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, ma monstrosities.